Well, I think I'm one of the first people through into departures this morning. Welcome back to the London Art Pilgrim. We're in Gatwick Airport North Terminal. It's around about 2:30 in the morning. One of the first people through into the departures lounge. I've had about an hour's sleep in the pre-departure area, the North Terminal. We've got about 24 hours in Barcelona, so I'm going to be flying out very early, first flight to Barcelona this morning. We're going to see as much as we possibly can, have a really good look around the city, the street art, the architecture, the culture. I'm trying to do this as cheaply as possible, so no hotel booked. Flights there and back cost me about 30 quid. And we're going to try and see what we can do on the tightest of budgets. This might kill me though. Very tired already. Look at these bags. But let's get going. Quite eerie in this airport this time. Gatwick North Terminal. So I've arrived at the airport, had a little snooze, and the first thing to do, get myself a nice Guinness. The Wetherspoons in the North Terminal here is literally the first thing to open, I think. Everything else is closed, so I had no other option. Wow, look at this beauty. Bought it at the back in the cheap seats. So as you can see here, I had very little leg room. I was a sort of mid-cabin really in the plane, but I did have a window seat, so wonderful views over the Pyrenees coming down through into Spain. Blew my mind really. We were cruising around about 39,000 feet on an EasyJet A319-100. The landing was pretty straightforward, but honestly they could have rolled me down that runway in a barrel for the price. It was about £16 for the flight. The journey itself, we left Gatwick North Terminal down through France, straight line really, down through France to El Prat Airport in Barcelona. And as I say, it was just about 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Okay, we've just got the bus into central Barcelona. We're heading to El Raval area. Then we're going to head to the Gothic Quarter. There's plenty to see already. Barcelona is definitely a city that does not mind the walls being decked out with amazing street art. So we're going to just basically wander around the streets now, I think. Of El Raval onto the Gothic Quarter, and we're going to head to Sagrada Familia. In Barcelona, street art is only legal when you have approval from the city or from property owners. Painting without permission can lead to quite large fines, sort of €100 to €600. But at the same time, the council has launched Murs Oberts, open walls across 7 districts, where artists can paint legally without prior permit, which I think is quite impressive from Barcelona. Finding tags everywhere, pieces. Basketball court. So, El Raval, a dense, multi-layered neighborhood in Barcelona's Ciutat Vella. Bad pronunciation there. Sitting between La Rambla and the Old Port. It's an area with roots going back to the medieval city walls when the land was first outside Barcelona's core and home to farms, hospitals and monasteries. Over the 20th century, it earned a rough reputation, sex work, nightlife, poverty. But from the 1990s onwards, it's been sort of transformed, really. Large urban renewal projects, new public squares and cultural institutions like the Museum of Contemporary Art for Barcelona. So moved in to help reshape the area. Today you'll find the neighborhood bursts with multicultural life, immigrants from Latin America, Asia and Eastern Europe, and the streets reflect that mix in food, shops and community. One of the most striking things in the street art scene here in El Raval has become, it's basically an open-air gallery. Spot large murals, smaller stencils by local and international artists, especially around Carrer de Joaquim Costa. These works often address identity, gentrification and subcultures. On a safety front, yes, things have improved. The city's increased police presence, installed cameras and cleaned up many of the worst spots. During the day and along the main streets, it's fine to wander, but at night in the hidden alleys, you should definitely stay alert. Pickpocketing remains a common problem in the area. Definitely come the right way anyway. Oh, this is cool. Basically, all of the shutters for the shops seem to have been worked on. It's like they almost encourage the artists just to come and work on the shutters for all of these shop faces. Some really, really amazing work. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the journey that I've just been on. It's now 5 to 10 UK time, so 5 to 11 Barcelona time. I haven't slept properly in 24 hours already, and I'm probably not going to sleep again properly for another 24 hours. So the fight continues. What a beautiful, beautiful city. I've only been here for 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Already blowing my mind, really. It's actually worth the torment that I've been through to get here. I don't know a huge amount of the artists here, so we're going to have to do some research as I'm going along. Maybe when I get home as well. I'm going to try and document as much as I can, and then we'll go from there. Well, I thought Shoreditch had a lot of street art, but this really is unbelievable. It's probably too dark, you can't see this very well. I feel like I'm going to get mugged down here. I have to keep my wits about me. Shouldn't really be going down little dark, dingy alleyways. Probably not a safe idea. Barcelona has produced and inspired some of the biggest names in art. Pablo Picasso lived and studied here, his early years shaped by the city's energy. Joan Miró was born here, bold colours and surreal shapes tied to the Catalan identity. Antoni Tàpies brought abstraction and texture to the post-war scene, and then Salvador Dali. Not from the city, but he made it his stage early on. Barcelona's streets still carry that mix of rebellion and surrealism they all helped spark. Look at this work, looks like it's been here for a while. Especially the pieces, they seem to have, there's nothing fresh really around here. Everything seems to have been on the walls for quite some time, so nobody's obviously removing anything. Don't know what this is all about. And once again, if you know any of the artists that I bump into and you want to give a shout out to them, tag them, please do so in the comments. This is all pretty new to me, so the Gothic Quarter of Barcelona, the city's historic core where the old Roman settlement of Barcino once stood. As you walk through its narrow lanes and squares, you'll see medieval and Gothic architecture, the Cathedral of Santa Eulalia and the Plaza del Rey, its royal palaces, and even walls from the Roman era. Over the centuries, the area fell into decline, but in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was part of a big restoration push, giving us much of what we see today, even if some of it is neo-Gothic rather than purely medieval. The quarter is more than just history, it's alive. It's got great cafes, boutiques, bars, and they all fill small squares and narrow passageways. You'll walk past the old Jewish quarter and feel the layers of the city built one on top of another. As for safety, by day you're perfectly fine wandering around. At night, some of the narrowest lanes can feel quieter. So just keep an eye out for pickpockets, which seems to be a bit of a theme really when you're traveling around Barcelona. Okay, on the suggestion of a very friendly and very nice barman, I've come to find a very famous mural here near the cathedral, Barcelona Cathedral. Not Sagrada Familia, the Barcelona Cathedral. I think I've just spotted it because there's a big crowd of people around it. Here we are at the Plaça de Isidre Nonel in Barcelona's Gothic Quarter, looking at what many call the Kiss of Freedom, a huge mosaic mural created in 2014. It was designed by Catalan artist and photographer Joan Fontcuberta in collaboration with ceramicist Toni Comella. Fontcuberta asked Barcelona residents to submit a photograph that represented a moment of freedom. From thousands of responses, over 4,000 individual photos were printed on ceramic tiles, then arranged in a massive image of two people kissing. It's roughly 8 meters wide and 3.8 meters high. The work was installed as part of 300-year commemoration of the 1714 siege of Barcelona, a siege part of the War of Spanish Succession. All of these mosaics. All little tiny mosaics. Tulips kissing. I hope you can see this, because it's amazing. All the way. Bit too many people there, really. Oh, I feel like this is a Gaudi masterpiece here. Antoni Gaudi. We are going to see the Sagrada Familia. Look at this sculpture. So this is Carmela, a large bronze head sculpture by Jaume Plensa, installed in 2015 near the Palau de la Música Catalana in Barcelona's Gothic Quarter. Plensa based the work on a photograph of a young Barcelonan girl, then scanned and compressed the form to create this elongated, meditative portrait. The closed eyes and calm expression invite you to slow down. A quiet moment of reflection in the city's historic heart. This place is mad. Here is Palau de la Música Catalana, one of Barcelona's most beautiful buildings and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was designed by architect Luis Domènech i Montaner, not Gaudi as I first thought when I saw it. A leading figure of the Catalan modernism movement and built between 1905 and 1908 for the Orfeo Català Choral Society. The building's all about craftsmanship, stained glass, mosaics, ironwork and sculpture working together like a symphony of materials. The centerpiece is the concert hall's stained glass skylight, which unfortunately I didn't get the chance to go in and see. Domènech i Montaner wanted to create a temple to music and to Catalan identity. You could feel that mix of pride and artistry everywhere you look. The facade alone is full of symbolism, muses, flowers, and even busts of famous composers like Beethoven and Bach. Today it's still a working concert hall hosting classical music, jazz and world performances all year round. I didn't do that justice at all. Getting quite tired now. I feel like I need to have something to eat, maybe another beer, and then I'm gonna try and find somewhere to relax for a little while, because I've pretty much walked quite a long way across the middle of Barcelona today. We found some amazing stuff though. Look at this. Bronik.
going to be a long video, I think. Barcelona is very interesting because it either seems to be these very wide open boulevards or tiny little alleyways. There's no sort of in between here. If you have a look here, it's just a huge wide open boulevard, and as you'll see from the rest of the video, it's just been tiny little back alleys, and so especially in the Gothic Quarter, obviously it's the oldest part of the city. But yeah, just making a comment.
The Basilica de la Sagrada Familia, probably the most recognizable symbol of Barcelona, and still more than a century later, a work in progress. Construction started in 1882, originally led by architect Francisco de Paula de Villar, but a year later Antoni Gaudi took over and completely transformed the vision. He dedicated over 40 years of his life to it, right up until his death in 1926. Gaudi imagined the basilica as a fusion of faith, nature and geometry.
Sagrada Familia.
This side of Sagrada Familia is the Passion facade. It was designed to feel stark and dramatic, a visual retelling of Christ's suffering and death. Gaudi imagined this side as the complete opposite of the Nativity facade. Instead of organic curves and warmth, it's all sharp angles, hard lines and deep shadows. The sculptural work you see here are created much later by artist Josep Maria Subirachs, who worked on it between 1980 and the early 2000s. His modernist, almost cubist style stirred some controversy when it was unveiled, but it fits the emotional tone of Gaudi wanted. If you look closely, each cluster of figures tells part of the story, from the Last Supper to the Crucifixion. The central column, known as Flagellation Column, rises like a spine through the scene. Above it, the four towers represent the apostles James, Bartholomew, Thomas and Philip. What's coming up here? Can you see this lady dressed as a clown with balloons? She hands the balloon to the child. Once the mother is accepted, she asks for money. And when the mother refuses, she sort of snatches the balloon out of the kid's hand and walks off, creating a bit of a fuss. I didn't catch it on camera, but it's one of the old sort of street tricks. So be careful when you're walking around Barcelona. This sort of thing happens quite often.
Have to see Sagrada Familia from the three sides. I'm going to talk a bit of detail about the architecture behind this in the edit. You can see the totally different styles. Let's get some distance.
This side of the basilica, the Nativity facade, is the oldest and the only one completed during Gaudi's lifetime. Built between 1894 and 1930, it celebrates the birth of Christ with incredible detail. Every inch bursts with life: birds, flowers, animals, angels. Gaudi treated it like a garden in stone. It's full of movement and optimism, showing scenes like the Holy Family, the shepherds and the Magi. The three main doorways represent faith, hope and charity, and the towers above are dedicated to the four apostles. You can really see Gaudi's organic style here, no straight lines, everything flowing like it's growing out of nature itself. Then at the opposite side, there's the Glory facade, which is still under construction. This will eventually be the grand main entrance, representing the road to salvation and the glory of God. When it's finished, it'll complete Gaudi's vision, a story of life, death and resurrection told in architecture. Even unfinished, you can feel the scale of that idea.
Right next to the Taco Bell. Very fitting. A full walk around this wonderful church. Literally walked from very far west Barcelona all the way through La Paz, Las Ramblas, Arc de Triomphe, up all the way through the Gothic Quarter, and finishing up here for now. I'm gonna have to go rest for a little bit after this, and we'll see if I can catch any more. This wonderful, thriving, lovely, lively, crazy city.
So the whole walk was around about 3 miles. That's not taking into consideration the hundreds of miles that I traveled to get there. But yep, through the winding sort of narrow parts of the Gothic Quarter onto the long boulevards towards Sagrada Familia.
So one of the reasons I didn't talk too much when we go around Sagrada Familia is that I was quite thought it was quite important that I look at it with my own eyes. I have seen it before, but I had to take it in. It's almost near completion. It's very important, and I think that, you know, I'm doing these videos, but I do need to be able to appreciate the stuff myself as well. Otherwise, what's the point? Taking great videos, getting good shots and things, but if I'm not actually soaking in the art, the architecture, the artwork, whatever it is myself, then, you know, how can I talk to you about it, really? And I am trying to make sure that I'm having a good experience, as well as worrying constantly about getting good shots and what have you. Right, I have now decided to book a 12-bed dorm bed for the evening. I'm going to be leaving by 10 o'clock, but I've got to a point now, it's 2 o'clock, 2:30, and I am feeling like absolute shit. It's just been 24 hours. I haven't really slept, I haven't washed. I'm feeling and looking a bit minging. So I thought it was a good idea just to get myself into a hostel for 15 euros. Just for a few hours, I think 3 hours, just to get my head down, just have a little nap. As you say, I can't even speak properly because I'm so tired. But yeah, so that's the plan now. I'll show you around it anyway. What a beautiful looking gardening centre. Look at that. Beautiful building. So I stayed at St. Christopher's Inn in Barcelona. It's about a 2-minute walk from La Rambla. They've got them dotted around the world, especially. We've got even some in the UK. And for 15 euros for the night, couldn't go wrong, really. Would really recommend. It's very, very chill. So I went for a little evening stroll after about 3 hours of a nap in the hostel. Wanted to get the idea of the evening vibe, and it was a little bit more, I don't know how to explain it. It was a little bit more testy, so I had to really be careful with my camera. I couldn't use my GoPro. I wanted to just use my phone, but I held onto it, clutched onto it like it was a baby, really. But yes, totally different vibe, but very, very fun and a very lovely city. I'd love to come back with Karina, maybe. Botero.
Last bit of artwork of this trip in the airport. Fernando Botero was a Colombian artist known for his distinctive, exaggerated figures, round, inflated, full of volume. His style, often called Boterismo, wasn't just about humor or excess. It was about power, presence, and humanity. He painted and sculpted everything from politicians to dancers with that same unmistakable form. Botero passed away in 2023, but his larger-than-life style still stands out wherever you see it. So I wanted to do a bit of a roundup and a finish off of this video. Sitting in the airport, it was quite intense and a big challenge really. So on the Sunday night, I didn't sleep, got up went to bed around about 6 o'clock-ish in the afternoon. And then I was up at 10:30, 11 o'clock, showered and ready straight out the door in the night to get to the airport. I got to Gatwick Airport sort of 1-ish, and then stayed there until my flight at 6 something on Monday morning, and then flew to Barcelona, did a full day walking around. Now it is 12 o'clock, sitting in the airport on Monday night with waiting for my 5 a.m. flight out of Barcelona. As you can see, it's quite an toll on my body, keeping me awake and trying to walk for as long as I have, but it was worth it. The whole walking around Barcelona, so all the different areas that we went to, El Raval, from what I found out about the area afterwards, after I went there, full of street art, full of lovely, amazing work, pretty much in every great shop front you can find. Walked through the past Las Ramblas, the Arc de Triomphe that they've got here in Barcelona, the Gothic Quarter, onto Sagrada Familia, and then I had a well-earned little rest, and then another little walk around then in the evening. So I think I managed to see plenty of street art. I didn't capture all of the most important pieces that are here, but I did get a good selection of works, and I'm very happy with what I've managed to catch on camera, and I hope you've enjoyed the trip with me too. I think this is a good time to wrap up the trip and say thank you very much for joining me again. There'll be more international trips, maybe a couple of London ones first. I've got to reset my battery, recharge myself, but I had a great time. Thanks very much for coming along with me, and see you on the next one.